What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Today we have a much awaited part 4 to the Madden 20 Realistic Simulation Rebuild mini-series part 4. This is something that quite a lot of you guys requested on part 3. I was going to end it with part 3, but I figured I might as well take it to a part 4 just to get you guys a few more tips and tricks and just try to continue this as far as it can go, because you guys did seem to have a lot of interest in it. So today we're actually sitting here in preseason following up on the last video, and I have a couple tips and tricks for preseason just to give as we go through here. And then, once we're done here with preseason, we'll move through probably about the first half of this season. So the first tip is right at the beginning of the preseason. I've already done this off screen, but the first tip at the beginning of preseason is as soon as you're past the draft, and I might have covered this in the last video, you want to hit up free agency. You want to look at free agency, you want to see what's out there, what undrafted free agents are out there, and who's available to help your squad. So up to this point, I've already done that. I've gone through, acquired a couple players, and basically set up my team to where they need to be. So let's go ahead and run through the roster real quick, and then we'll show you guys where we're set up for this season. At quarterback, you guys will remember Joe Burrow was here, Jacob Eason was here. At running back, we have Joe Mixon as the lead. I actually went out and picked up Jerick McKinnon, and he had an upgrade point, which was nice, so that puts him as a nice third down running back for us, receiving back. So that'll be good to have in addition with Giovanni Bernard. I put the other halfbacks on the practice squad. At fullback, we picked up Anthony Sherman in the offseason. The wide receivers haven't changed. At tight end, we have Delaney Walker starting. Across the offensive line, I moved Chukwuma Okorafor back to left tackle because we picked up DeMar Dotson, who is out there in free agency, as a veteran right tackle backup, which is a nice pickup, a nice add to help bolster the offensive line. We obviously have the rookie starting at right tackle, Max Berg. At right guard, we have the rookie Gilbert Mays, backed up by another rookie, Taylor Donnell. At center, we have Billy Price, backed up by Trey Hopkins. And at left guard, we have Joe Thuney, backed up by a rookie, Amari Kendall. On D-line, nothing has changed here. We have Sam Hubbard, we have Carl Lawson, backed up by Khalid Kareem. And then at D-tackle, we have the mixture of Geno Atkins, DJ Reader, Harrison Phillips, and Lincoln Staley, the D-tackle that we drafted. We had another D-tackle that I put on the practice squad just because I didn't have room for everybody. We have Shaquem Griffin. At left outside, Logan Wilson got an upgrade point during the preseason, so he's up to a 73, and so did Marcus Bailey, so he's up to a 70. At right outside linebacker, Darren Lee, the free agent pickup. At cornerback, William Jackson, Trey Waynes, Vernon Hargraves, Mackenzie Alexander, kind of a good combo there. Jesse Bates, and then Von Bell. And then we did make some changes. We brought in Brandon McManus at kicker and Corey Bjorquez. So that's how the team factors out. We got our team cut down to 53 men. So we're going to go ahead and advance through the first half of this season and see if this team can't do anything. Obviously, they're not looking great in preseason. They're at 1-2 at this point. I'm going to go ahead and auto reorder the depth chart. One of the tips that I have is, aside from looking through free agency during preseason week 1, is during preseason week 4, you want to look at free agency, because a lot of teams will make their cuts and there will be good players out there for you. And as soon as you're done with preseason week 4 and get to week 1 of the regular season, you also want to go back in and check the roster here, check free agency, because guys will pop up like Sual Cravens that weren't there before. That could be a potentially good player for us. There's this wide receiver here, Steven Sims, that's a young player that could be good. I mean, you can always find good players that weren't there before at this point in free agency. Donovan Peoples-Jones is a good receiver. Unfortunately, we don't need any of these players that I'm seeing here, but you always want to go out here at this point in the season, see what's out there, because a lot of good players could get put on the practice squad or even cut that might be able to help your team out tremendously. I'm going to look to see if I don't want to bring in Sual Cravens. I want to look at our strong safety situation and just see what's there, because that's the only player that I saw that I really would think about actually adding. So we have Sean Williams. It wouldn't be much of an improvement to bring in Sual Cravens. I mean, he's younger. He could become a higher overall, but I think Sean Williams is decent at this point in time as a backup safety, so I don't see a reason to make a move. In terms of setting my season goal, I always set my season goal to make the playoffs. This is the best choice because, 9 times out of 10, if you're in control of your team, you're actually going to make the playoffs. I don't set it to make the Super Bowl because oftentimes I'll face other good opponents like my my buddies, my friends that are in the leagues with me in the playoffs, and they might kick me out. So I want to hit my season goal. You know, if you know you're going to hit the Super Bowl, like if you're the only team in the entire league, then certainly go ahead and make the Super Bowl. But generally, make it to playoffs is the safest bet to go with here to get you the most XP. With that being said, let's see what our mission is for the week. So we got Lamar Jackson week 1. We're going to try to slow him down. I don't know if he'll play well in you know, a simulation like this, but whenever I play him head to head, he never tends to play well. I don't know why, they just don't code him well. So he doesn't actually play well in game. Here we go. Our rookie right guard Gilbert Mays gets an upgrade point, and I'm going to actually upgrade him as an agile lineman. I think I'm fine with that. I want to take a look at his stats and see kind of where his stats shake out. So we could improve his pass block power. Pass blocking, not quite as important for guards, but already a really good run blocker if you see his stats. So not too worried about fixing up any particular attribute for him. Let's see if we get a win week 1 against the Ravens. I do want to go in and auto reorder my depth chart. I want to make sure that I didn't forget to do that, and that should reorder it appropriately. Just do a quick scan to make sure everybody is where they should be. And I believe that they are. Yep, we're good across the board, so let's go ahead and continue forward and see what happens. We got a nice win in preseason week 4, and that's a beautiful win, 21-19. That's what I like to see to start off the season over the Baltimore Ravens. Important win, X Factor QB, X Factor D end. I think I'm going to... I might as well go through and do these. I have a little bit of time. We can extend this video slightly. I'll make sure to click on all of these. Like I've said in the past, it's really important that you actually do these things. So 500 XP for our linebackers, which is really good to get. And I have 3,200 XP up there as a coach, so I should certainly look into utilizing that. We'll try and slow down J.J. Watt. So let's see what we can spend our coaching XP on. We could do Master Trade Negotiator, but I think I'm going to try to spend it on experience points for somebody. I like the looks of potentially doing it for the O-line. That could allow me to buy also either DB, linebacker, or D-line. Our D-line doesn't need much XP. Our linebackers could use XP, and our DBs could probably use XP. I'm going to go with the linebackers for now because I think that's the position where we need the most help. So any XP boost we can get there is probably going to boost us up the most. Let's go ahead, and I'm going to manually review all of these, at least early on here, all of these upgrade points, just to make sure that these guys are getting upgraded the way I want them to. Jesse Bates finally going to get up to an 80 overall. Yes, I'm okay with upgrading him as a zone player. Darren Lee, the outside linebacker, we're going to upgrade him as a run stopper. And Harrison Phillips, D tackle, run stopper. We are getting quite a few upgrade points for our linebackers, which is nice to see. Hopefully our linebackers end up being a decent linebacking core. Like I said, we didn't really improve them too much in the offseason. I mean, we brought in Darren Lee, but that wasn't really the biggest pickup. This is the D tackle that we had on our practice squad, Matabuike. He's now a Raven. And we'll go ahead and advance to week 2. Can we beat the 0-1 Texans? It'd be nice to start off 2-0. And we do, 24-22, getting a couple close wins here early in the season, which is really nice. I think I'll go up to about week 8 for you guys. Weekly awards. Somebody won an award. That's good to see. Tyler Boyd with 136 receiving yards and 3 receiving touchdowns. He's really kind of turned into our ace receiver over here, and that's certainly good to see. We've got scouting. Let's go ahead and take a look at the upgrades. Yes, definitely want to upgrade Joe Burrow. Field general. And I saw a couple O-line upgrades, at least one O-line upgrade, so that's kind of important. Actually, a lot of these guys are important, so I'm going to make sure that we actually get these done the way I want them to be. We're going to upgrade Billy Price as... What are his ratings looking like? Power, doesn't need a lot of power. I'd like to upgrade his run blocking. Run blocking finesse, pass blocking finesse. Unfortunately, there's no... I mean, I guess if we upgraded power, that does give us a chance of getting run blocking. Pass block, power, run block, power. Yeah, we're not getting run blocking stats there, but he's up to an 80, which is good to see. T. Higgins, we're going to go ahead and upgrade as a physical receiver, which is fine, because he's looking really good at this point. I mean, 79 overall. Not the fastest guy in the world, but really good receiving stats. I think what we'll try to do is maybe focus on route running a little bit. The right tackle, I want to review and see if he's weak anywhere. He's a little weak in the pass block power game. Pass block finesse is good. Pass blocking is 76. So we want to focus on pass blocking for him, which would probably be... That's pass block finesse, pass block power we needed, and pass blocking in general. I think I'm just going to upgrade him as a pass protector. That'll give me the best chance of hitting all of those. Pass block finesse and pass block power hit the exact traits that we wanted to. And Chukwuma Okorafor, just continue to upgrade him as an agile lineman. And these guys, well, I'll upgrade like Taylor Donnell. He's a rookie. Give him a point of agile, try to fill in some of his lower end traits. And then this guy can just be done as is. We got a couple players ready to negotiate. This will be kind of crucial for us because it looks like Joe Mixon is ready to negotiate, and so is Carl Lawson. I'm going to negotiate with Joe Mixon first because I think that he's a pretty important player for us. He's 24 years old, so I'm going to try to give him a 5 or 6 year deal. 37.9 mil. We're averaging out around $7.5 million per year here, which is really not too bad. I don't mind paying a guy that's done really well for us that amount of money. What I do want to look at, I want to look at his stats from last season. I want to see that in a simulation he's actually contributing. So look at the roster real quick. This is a good tip here for you guys if you're doing a simulation to figure out if a player is actually doing what you want them to, if they're worth re-signing to a contract. So last season he did contribute almost 1,200 yards and 5 touchdowns, even in simulation play. So I'm going to go ahead and re-sign him to a contract. And then while I'm here, I'm also going to look at Carl Lawson because he wants a contract and see if he did anything that warrants actually giving him a contract as well. So last season he had 60 tackles, 8.5 sacks. So I'm willing to give him a contract, but I don't think I want to overpay him. And honestly, I'm willing to try to avoid some of the hassle with negotiating with Mixon by just giving him the contract that he wants kind of right off the bat. So I'm just going to actually increase this. We'll give him 38.2 mil. Hopefully that's enough to satisfy him, and we'll sign him. We'll just sign him for 5 years because he might start to fall off at the end. There we go, got the deal done. And let's see what Carl Lawson wants. He wants 11 mil per year. Who else do we have to re-sign? This is another tip. Before you go and commit to re-signing to players, make sure you know who all you have to re-sign in that season, because as you guys can see, if I commit to Carl Lawson, let's say I pay too much money to some of these early players, I also still have William Jackson, John Ross, Nelson Aguilar, some other decent players here that I'm going to have to sign long term. So with that being said, I don't think even if I signed all of these guys to the contracts they wanted, just kind of based off my knowledge, I don't think that I would waste all of my $60 million in cap space. So I am going to go ahead and give Carl Lawson a contract. He only wants 3 years, which really ain't that bad. You know, if we give him what he wants or a little bit more than what he wants, he should accept it right away. And okay, so he's not a big fan of the contract that he requested. I love how Madden works with that, even though I give him more money than is exactly what he requested. Weekly awards, Tyler Boyd, we already went over that, and then we got a scout. So scouting-wise this year, I'm going to start with the linebackers because that is a clear need for us. We're going to go ahead and scout through some of the early ones. A lot of times, I know that I go through the whole idea of telling you guys that I only scout the first trait, but a lot of times I will automatically scout the first overall player the whole way through. Kind of a mistake to do it with him because he only had B, and it's looking like this linebacker class is going to be weak again, unfortunately. We'll go here. That's going to kind of stink if the linebacker class is weak. We pretty much just have to develop from within and consider maybe signing some free agents. Training-wise, we're still doing the simulated training. So we're 2-0 against the 0-2 Browns. Hopefully the computer will give us this win, being that we're, you know, a team on a roll against a team that's on a slide. Actually, in the division, we're basically on top right now because we bested the Ravens. Hopefully we can best the Browns and just kind of carry away with this. But you know, it's been known to do some weird things. Might get a loss here. Yep, we lose 31-13 to the Browns. I guess that's a matchup nightmare for us. The Browns just tend to beat us. I'm going to go back in here immediately and see what Carl Lawson wants as a contract. We'll try and give him a little bit more money. And hopefully that's enough for him. Man, this dude just does not want to sign the contract. I mean, I'm giving him way more money than he's asking for. He might end up being a cap casualty or something because I don't want to way overpay him. Now, William Jackson asking for a 3-year deal puts him right through like the end of his career, in my opinion, because that's when corners start to be useless, is around the age of 30. So I'm just going to pay him, because he's a good corner and he's our only, I mean, realistically speaking, like, he's our only good corner. So I'm just going to try and pay him and get his contract out of the way right away, and he's going to accept, which is nice to see. I mean, a lot of times, you know, you guys can negotiate with these players, but quite honestly, I don't think it's worth my time to try and lowball players. I mean, some of the young guys that are on like low contracts, I'll lowball them because I don't want to overpay them. But guys that are good, that contribute to my team, guys like William Jackson III, I just don't see a reason to try and lowball that player and waste my time negotiating with them. I just tend to actually outright go and offer them the contract that I want or that they want and just kind of roll with it. John Ross, I'm just going to fill in some of his stats behind. And I'm going to go ahead and auto upgrade everybody else. And we're going to do scouting again. So the linebackers are looking weak. I might call an audible here and just kind of go away from the linebackers for a little bit. I guess maybe it's worthwhile scouting some of these B pluses. No, I mean, this linebacker class is awful. I mean, honest to God, this linebacker class is just not good. So that's going to be a problem for us. Let's go ahead. Yeah, not even... There's like nobody with good talent here. So I'm thinking cornerback is probably... And man, we don't even have any B pluses here in the early cornerbacks. I don't know if the talent is just somewhere else. We're going to have to probably scout around to try and see which positions the talent is actually at, because this is one of those draft classes that there's just nobody at the positions that we're looking for right now. And that's kind of a tip to you guys, is that the Madden draft classes do tend to be a little bit random sometimes, where, you know, certain positions are good, certain positions aren't. You kind of have to try and locate the talent, especially if they're at positions that you don't need. It can be troublesome. I'm thinking this is probably going to be an offense-heavy draft class. We have the 1-2 Jaguars against the 2-1 Bengals. Let's see if we can pick up yet another win. That's a good win. 42-4. Every one of our wins so far has been like by a couple points. Let's go to our schedule real quick so we can look at that. So 21-19, a 2-point win there, 2-point win there. We lost heavy to the Browns, but we won by 1 point to the Jaguars. I want to know how our team and the Jaguars both put up 40 points. That's kind of wild. I don't see that ever happening. I mean, I guess Joe Burrow has the potential to do that, but I don't know about the Jaguars right now. All right, we got 500 XP, and then let's go ahead and take a look at this. How do we want to spend the bye week? We could do preparation, we could do rest and relaxation. I always do rest and relaxation just because it's a morale thing. I find that whenever you do the extra preparation, it kind of ends up being a problem sometimes. Let's go ahead and look at negotiations. Carl Lawson is just being a problem for us right now. John Ross, I do want to sign, but I should go back and actually see if he's contributing or not. I know for a fact that Tyler Boyd is, but I do not know if John Ross is actually doing much for us. I mean, I know Joe Burrow's stats have been decent, so he's got to be throwing to somebody, but it's very possible that T. Higgins is the one getting all the yardage, and John Ross really isn't. 896 yards for us last season, and Tyler Boyd had how much? No, Tyler Boyd only had 656. But with that being said, I mean, he's already half of his total this year through 4 games. And let's look at T. Higgins and see what he's up to. 160 yards, only had 84 yards for us last season. That's right, we moved on from A.J. Green or something like that. I can't remember exactly when it was, what the timeline was. So with that being said, I think I'm going to negotiate with John Ross. I mean, he seems like a valuable contributor. And he doesn't want too much money. I mean, he's 24 years old. He's only going to get better. I mean, he still has room to grow. That's kind of the important thing here. I'm just going to give him $9.5 million, and I'm actually going to sign him to like a long-term deal because I think he'll be a solid receiver for a long time. Delaney Walker, this is a big tip for you guys if you have an aging player like Delaney Walker. I might have said this last year, but you want to let these players slide till the offseason, because right now we would be negotiating a contract with an 80 overall, but by the time we get to the offseason and he's a 37-year-old, one, he might retire, and number two, he might be like a 70 overall, and so he would be way cheaper to re-sign, and you might not even want to re-sign him if his skills decline quite enough. Carl Lawson, I just don't understand. Oh, that's what the issue is. The offer that it predetermined or preset for us is like way lower than what he's actually asking for. I don't know what's going on with that, but we have to get up to $34.5 million. I've seen this happen before. I don't know why it does that, but that's on me for not noticing that sooner. 34.8. We're going to give him a 4-year deal. There we go. Now he's signed. So that's actually not his fault. That's my fault for not noticing that. You guys probably commented that in the comment section, and I just don't have the comments up right now to actually be able to see them. Joe Burrow with a weekly award. Pretty nice day. 294 passing yards, 4 passing touchdowns, sacked 4 times, so our offensive line kind of let him down a little bit there, but he came away with a good win. Let's go ahead and get our scouting done, take a look at our upgrades, and get our move on here. Yeah, I mean, I'm just gonna go through some of these top positions. So there's a good left end. I think I'm just gonna go through some of these top positions and see where the talent is. Wide receiver, there's definitely some wide receiver talent. That's for sure. Okay, but like no top linebackers, no top cornerbacks. I mean, I'm going to scout Trent. I mean, 2nd round talent. What is going on here? Which position costs 11 points? Offensive line does. We might as well just kind of put some points into O-line, even though we might not draft too many of them. This might be a draft where the talent is all located at other positions, and so we might have to call an audible and kind of trade away some of our draft capital for players that could help us and kind of acquire like youngsters for our team that way. Let's check on the upgrades real quick. Sam Hubbard, Max Berg. This one's a big one for us. Pass protector. Gotta limit those sack numbers on Joe Burrow, even though it's a simulation and we really don't have too much control over that. I know that there was a D tackle that somebody else wanted me to like take a look at drafting. I'm gonna go through right now and look at the roster and see if he's out there. Somebody said that he was going to be good, and then I ended up going back and looking at him, and he wasn't actually that good. I don't know if it was Julius Blades. It was one of the one of these young D tackles that was like, maybe it was Hagler. Yeah, I think it was Anton Hagler. He ended up being lower than the D tackle that we picked. I think we actually ended up with the highest overall rookie D tackle, if I'm not mistaken. So far, rookie-wise, 67. The 69 was the highest, and our rookie was a 24-year-old. So once we go through the 20, yeah, so we ended up with the 71 overall D-tackle. Yeah, so for those of you that were questioning my D-tackle pick of Lincoln Staley, we actually ended up with the highest overall D-tackle out of the draft class. I know that he's 24 years old, but we ended up with the highest overall one. That guy on the Falcons would have been a decent pick. I'm going to actually go to their team. He would have been a decent pick, don't get me wrong. I mean, he's a 69 overall. He'll probably end up being a higher overall, but there's nothing special about him. I mean, he's really not that strong, doesn't have that great of block shedding, doesn't really have great moves or anything like that. He's fast. I mean, he's athletic for a D-tackle. I think that's why you guys wanted me to maybe take a look at drafting him. 22 years old, but really not that great of a player. Not any better than what we picked. So I did want to point that out to you guys. Upgrade players, we're going to auto upgrade these guys and then go ahead and move on to the next week. So week 6 at home. Oh, nice. We got a couple breakout players in 1 week. Hopefully we at least accomplish one of these. T. Higgins. 3+ touchdowns, 150+ yards. Not going to happen. We're getting another breakout challenge for Joe Mixon. I believe we had one last year. Chances are we're probably not going to get either of these breakout challenges if I'm understanding this correctly. Slow them down. Sorry that we're getting bogged down in all these messages and everything. I guess I can speed it along by just not answering these, not clicking into these messages. Let's go ahead and scout a little bit more. Offensive line wise, we're young on the O-line. I don't really think we need O-line, and I think that there's quite a bit of talent there. Tight ends, oof, definitely no tight ends there. There's receiver help, but we don't need wide receivers. Might stand to draft a halfback, I guess. We'll scout them a little bit. And defensively, we don't really need a D lineman, but it kind of seems like there might be a couple decent defensive ends and stuff like that. So, like I said, this might be one of those positions where we actually trade away some of our draft picks, and so I will end it. We'll go to week 8, but I'm not actually going to simulate that game today. We'll go ahead and end it on week 8, and I'll probably go out there and try and explore the trade market and try to get some players into this team to help us out. We got to check out the negotiations real quick because someone else popped up in addition to Delaney Walker. 2 old guys, so we're just going to ignore those for now. Player upgrades, we'll make sure that we get those done. And do we improve to 4-1? Tennessee Titans coming into this game, get another win, 35-20. Our offense is rocking right now. Look at this schedule. I mean, we're 4-1. Pretty much on top of the division. The Baltimore Ravens, aside from losing to us, have beaten everybody else. 35 points, 42 points, 24-21. I mean, this team is kind of really taken off. I think that we've done a decent job of building this offense. Now it's a matter of continuing to roll with it in the simulation and whether it'll actually give us that or not. So we didn't get the breakout challenge for T. Higgins. I highly doubt we got the breakout challenge here. Yeah, 2 missed opportunities there, unfortunately. This week we have a breakout player challenge for our middle linebacker. Chances are he will get it because I think you just have to get like 1 tackle for a loss, 1 sack, 1 int, 1 forced fumble. He'll probably get the tackle for loss. I mean, middle linebackers do tend to get that. We're just going to ignore these messages for now. We're going to scout, we're going to upgrade, and we're going to get a roll on. Defensively, probably worthwhile to scout these guys. D-tackle, I mean, could be worthwhile to do a D-tackle again if there's anybody, decent here. Upgrade these guys. We'll just let them all auto-upgrade. And can we beat the 3-2 Eagles? 4-1 versus 3-2 up to week 8. Breakout challenge. This is probably the most important thing from last week, and he didn't manage to get it. So that's unfortunate. We really are going to have to look at we're really going to have to look at linebackers in the offseason. We do improve to 5-1, so this division is getting really tight here with the Ravens at 6-1, the Bengals at 5-1, and the Steelers at 4-3. And honestly, the Browns still kind of have a shot at 3-3. It just kind of depends how things play out. So the team's actually playing really well. I'm hoping that we at least get a wild card spot. I mean, the Ravens are bound to lose a game here eventually. We'll go ahead and take care of looking at the trade block and everything here. Basically off camera for you guys, and then we'll get the rest of the season done in the next episode. I can't guarantee when that episode will be. This series is probably going to come to you guys as bonus content, so whenever I have time after my standard videos Monday through Friday, I'll try to throw this in as a bonus video as opposed to this being a dedicated video on one specific day. But I am happy to get this guys to you because there were a lot of you guys that said you wanted to see this series continue. As you guys can see, I mean, we've built the team into a good spot. We're up to an 84 overall across the board. You guys can see we have a lot of good players, and you guys can see that it's actually paying off in wins. You know, we're up to, what did I say, 5-1 now, and competing for the division. A much better record and performance than we had last year. So, I mean, I'm excited to see what this team can continue to do, and we're doing this like as realistic as possible, as bare bones as possible. I've made no trades for anybody crazy or anything like that. I think our only trade was bringing in Joe Thuney at left guard and kind of getting rid of like AJ Green at wide receiver. Outside of doing those things, I mean, this is where we're at. So hopefully you guys enjoy this series. If you guys want to see more of this series, make sure that you guys leave a like on the video, comment down below, and subscribe to the channel. Like I said, not too many more tips to really give you guys. The first season that we ran through, I gave you most of the tips for you guys to look at. We do have a couple player upgrades on some important players, so we'll go ahead and do all that stuff off camera, and I'll see you guys back here in the next episode. I hope you guys enjoy, and have a good day.